emotions. I want to start this with a video clip. So my children showed me this video clip from Doctor Who. Does anybody watch the Doctor Who show? Okay, let me explain who Doctor Who is. I've never seen a full episode in my life. Doctor Who is a fictional character that goes back in time, and he travels in a time machine that is a phone booth. Okay? That's the whole concept. And now, my family loves an artist, Van Gogh. Or, I think it's Van Gogh here, right? That's how we say this in Europe? Van Gogh. And Doctor Who had gone back in time, and knowing what happened with Van Gogh, and knowing that he was sad, he wanted to change his future. Now here's what I know about Van Gogh. He's an amazing painter who sold a total of 3 paintings in his life. 3 paintings. 1 to his brother, and 2 to his brother's best friend. He would send paintings home to his mother, who would patch her chicken coop with his paintings. Okay? So that's what's going on in his life. Now, in this clip that I'm going to show you, Doctor Who went back in time, brought Van Gogh to modern times to see Musée d'Orsay, to let him know the impact that he had on the world. So, let's roll that video.
Where are we? Paris, 2010 AD, and this is the mighty Musée d'Orsay, home to many of the greatest paintings in history.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Ignore that, I've got something more important to show you.
Take all your chances while you can. Never know when they'll pass you by. Like a song the mathematician cannot solve. Like me, trying my hardest to explain.
Glad to be of help. You were nice about my tie.
Yes, and today is another cracker, if I may say so, but I just wondered, between you and me, in 100 words, where do you think Van Gogh rates in the history of art?
Well, big question, but to me, Van Gogh is the finest painter of the world. Certainly the most popular great painter of all time, the most beloved. His command of colour was magnificent. He transformed the pain of his tormented life into ecstatic beauty. Pain is easy to portray, but to use your passion and pain to portray the ecstasy and joy and magnificence of our world, no one had ever done it before. Perhaps no one ever will again. To my mind, that strange, wild man who roamed the fields of Provence was not only the world's greatest artist, but also one of the greatest men who ever lived.
Vincent, sorry. I'm sorry, is it too much?
No, tears of joy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Sorry about beard.
Sorry. That video always impacts me because it shows the difference that one person can make. The effect that this had on a depressed Van Gogh in this fictional scene is seen in the tears in his eyes and the hugging of the museum staff. So let's talk about a hard subject for a moment. The mental health burden in Europe is significant and has worsened since COVID-19 pandemic, with millions experiencing mental health conditions, including anxiety, depression, and substance use disorders. Before the pandemic, 84 million people in the EU suffered from mental health conditions, and these figures have since increased. The total cost of mental health issues in the EU is over 4% of your gross domestic product, which is 600 billion euros annually, encompassing healthcare costs, health systems, productivity loss, and more. And sadly, young people are more at risk. Mental health disorders are particularly prevalent amongst our young, with almost 1 in 5 boys in Europe and over 16% of girls affected by mental health disorders. It is estimated that the prevalence of mental health challenges have risen globally, somewhere between 26 and 28%. This corresponds to 53 to 76 million more people being affected in the last few years than ever before. The observed changes, sadly, are higher for women. In a recent poll, 46% of parents reported that their teenage child had developed a new or worsening mental health condition. 75% said that their child's ability to interact with friends has suffered. As it turns out, texting and social media have proven to be a poor substitute for face-to-face connection. And sadly, the experts believe that the worst is yet to come. The longer stress and trauma continues, the greater the impact. Decades of research document the serious long-term consequences of chronic childhood stress. It can alter the structure of the brain. It can alter the structure of the nervous system. And this impacts learning, memory, decision-making, and more. And then stress can also cause long-term health problems. It can cause the following: feelings of anger, fear, sadness, worry, numbness, or frustration, changes in appetite, energy, desires, and interests, difficulty concentrating and making decisions, difficulty sleeping, or nightmares, physical reactions such as headaches, body pain, stomach problems, and skin rashes, worsening of chronic health conditions, worsening of mental health conditions, and the increased use of tobacco, alcohol, and other substances. As you can see, this is a serious problem affecting everyone from children all the way through adults. So we are seeing a world that's headed for disaster right now. Without intervention, we could see the effects of this for the next 5 to 6 decades. Now that being said, most of us don't feel that. Most of us have good days most of the time. But have you ever had a day where you felt like this? This is Charles Darwin from his journal in 1861. I am very poorly today. I'm very stupid and hate everybody and everything. So, I think all of us wake up some mornings feeling a little bit like Charlie, right? Sometimes we have a rough day. I would also like to mention this concept. That is, in medicine, we talk about depression and anxiety, and these are defined illnesses in a reference book that helps us code for a diagnosis. If you meet the criteria defined in this book, then you are diagnosed with a mental illness. Now that's the top up there above the waterline. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. I believe that the general population suffers the mental effects of stress in some degree or another, expresses feeling anxious on some days or feeling sad on some days. They may not fit the criteria for a diagnosis, but they certainly have some component of this through their week or month. That waterline in that picture is the difference between a diagnosis and a state of mind. So just like in this picture, I believe the bulk of our challenges fall without a diagnosis. I would counter the statistics that I just shared with you earlier simply being the tip of the iceberg. So how many of you in this room, by a show of hands, how many of you in this room know someone that's been suffering with their emotions in the last 2 years? Look around you, right? This may be a child, a family member, a friend, a neighbor, a spouse. So what do we do about this? So there's a few things we can do from a lifestyle standpoint. Teaching breathing and mindfulness can help us notice when our emotional thermometers or distress levels have risen so high that we can help calm them with those practices. Another strategy that parents have employed to give kids, including my own children, is to give more exposure to nature. If you know me, you know I love the outdoors. So time outdoors is correlated with fewer behavioral and emotional problems. We need to take breaks from watching, reading, or listening to the news, even if it includes social media. If you do need to watch the news, consider limiting that to just 1 or perhaps 2 times a day. Take care of your body. Make sure you stretch, exercise regularly. Try to eat healthy, well-balanced meals. Avoid excessive alcohol, tobacco, or substance use. Make time to unwind. Try to do some activities that you enjoy. Connect with others. Talk with the people you trust about your feelings and concerns. And yes, men, this includes us, talking about our feelings. Connect with your community or your faith-based organizations. Have a routine. Keep up daily routines as far as possible. Get plenty of sleep, go to bed early, get up early, keep up with personal hygiene. Allocate time for working and time for resting. Now let's talk about social media for a minute. If you're going to be on social media, and this is a personal ask from me, use your accounts to post positive and hopeful stories. There are so many divisive and fearful posts that we need to balance that by spreading hope, love, inclusiveness, and positivity. Help others. If you're able, offer support to help people in your community who may need it. As it turns out, we feel better when we are helping others feel better. And remember that taking care of yourself can better equip you to take care of others. Helping others cope with stress through phone calls or video chats can help you and your loved ones feel less lonely or isolated. Now let's talk about our bodies. We know that our bodies respond to stress fairly universally, and that our systems respond the same whether we're being chased by a tiger in the jungle or we get cut off on the freeway on our commute to work. So when we experience stress, our brain, followed quickly by our body, goes into fight or flight. All of this is controlled by the oldest part of the brain, called the amygdala. This is sometimes called the amygdala hijack. You can see that amygdala right there. That's our amygdala, okay? And what happens, it starts making decisions without checking with the cortex of the brain, that part of the brain that makes us human. Now this is fantastic when I'm in a jungle and the tiger jumps out and I have to make a split-second decision about which path to run down in which the tiger may not follow. However, it's not a great place from which to make wise choices that may have long-term consequences. So let me give you a very simple example. Does anyone in here have teenagers in their home? Okay, or have had teenagers in your home? So fun, right? So fun. We should have a support group. We can talk later, okay? So let me give you this scenario. It's well after midnight. You've been waiting for a teenage son to come home, and he had a midnight curfew. When you've been worried about 12:10 when he didn't arrive, concerned for your son. You start to get a little frustrated at 12:30 when he wasn't home, and then you were really angry at 12:40 when he wouldn't answer his cell phone when you called it, and then when he walked in at 12:50 and casually said, "Oops, I was late again, wasn't I?" You lost it. You raised your voice, you expressed your frustration, and you immediately grounded him for life. Now the next morning, you begin to realize you don't really want him living in your basement for the rest of his life or your life. You realize that perhaps what you did in the heat of the moment may not have been the best thing for him or actually for you. So what happened? You made a quick choice using only your amygdala, which was all hopped up on adrenaline from your frustration. Okay? And you left that system so that your higher brain could not make a wiser choice. So when your higher brain the next morning started to kick in and you realized, oh, this wasn't a good plan, you had to go back and apologize to your son. To make better choices, we actually need our cerebral cortex to engage and then execute. This is where a higher level of thinking takes place. So I like to think of it this way. The amygdala is like an elephant. It is a large, powerful animal that can take over our actions very easily. When activated and left unchecked, it can actually wreak havoc in our lives. And the cerebral cortex is that little man sitting on top of the elephant, giving it small cues here and there and helping the elephant move in a more positive direction. So let me switch gears for just a moment and talk about how the brain works. It uses things called cofactors. A cofactor is a substance that helps increase the rate of a chemical reaction. They're like helper molecules, okay? So one category of cofactors is neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are natural chemicals that help facilitate communication between the nerve cells in our brain. So an example of that might be serotonin. Serotonin has a lot of functions in the human body. Most serotonin is made in the GI tract by our microbiome, but it influences mood, impulsivity, anger, and aggressiveness. It's sometimes called the happy chemical because it contributes to us feeling happy and joyful. So therefore, if we lack serotonin, we're sad, right? Okay. Another neurotransmitter is called GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, but GABA for short. This is really important because it has the opposite effect. While serotonin helps us feel up, GABA helps us calm down. Okay? It blocks or inhibits certain brain signals to decrease the activity of your nervous system. At 12:50 at night, when your son come home late, a little GABA would have gone a long way for you. It subdues that cascade that brings us too excited and helps us calm down, less overwhelmed, less anxious. Another important cofactor are amino acids, essential fatty acids. They're essential because our body cannot make them. Omega-3s and omega-6s must come from outside, supplements. Think E-omega here. Essential fatty acids are critical elements to support brain function and structure. So now let's talk about the microbiome for a minute and PB Restore. I love PB Restore. It's an amazing product. And let's talk about why. PB Restore assists your microbiome by providing prebiotic fiber, 30 active cultures, 24 strains of probiotic microorganisms, and they're all delivered in this unique double-layered capsule. Because most probiotics we simply take, they go into the stomach, our stomach acid kills them, and they're not beneficial at all. Ours has the double encapsulation in which it passes through the stomach unharmed. I love that time-release double-layer capsule. So your microbiome has to have the probiotics, the prebiotics, and the postbiotics. Okay? You have between 500 and 1,000 species of microbes working in your body. These need access to that fiber so they can create the valuable end products, which are postbiotics. So what are those postbiotics? You're going to recognize a few here. You notice serotonin, made by your microbiome. Okay? Very important for us. Serotonin is actually turned into melatonin. It's no wonder people that have problems with depression also have problems with sleep. This is because they don't have enough serotonin to make melatonin. You'll notice GABA up there as well. GABA, that calm down neurotransmitters. We need these things to support cellular, organ, and general health functions. They're very important for us to have. These are created by your probiotic bacteria. Okay? Next, stress-reducing nutrients that we get from VMG, E omega. Vitamin C reduces stress by supporting the adrenal glands, lowering cortisol levels, and boosting the immune system. This helps us reduce anxiety. Okay? Also, omega-3s are thought to, the reduction in anxiety by omega-3s is thought to occur via anti-inflammatory and neurochemical mechanisms in the brain. Some other vitamins that we might consider. Magnesium regulates neurotransmitters, balances mood glucose metabolism, and improves mood. Vitamin D helps elevate mood by assisting with the production of serotonin in the brain. Now let me take a minute here with vitamin D. If you live someplace other than this beautiful country that we're in, right, or Italy, or maybe Greece, and you live with a place that has something that we call winter in Utah, you may need more vitamin D. My experience in my practice is, thank you, yes. My experience in my practice is that most people are very deficient in vitamin D and need extra. So take the time to expose your solar panel to the sun and get some extra vitamin D made. Make sure you're taking your VMG and make sure your microbiome is healthy to keep your vitamin D level up. B vitamins, they're linked to brain health, stress reduction, and they reduce feelings of anxiety and depression. We already talked about melatonin, but omega-3 fatty acids, again, they regulate neurotransmitter functions in the brain, including that serotonin that we talked about. So within the adaptive blend that we all know and love, we have wild orange, which is largely limonene, lavender, which is largely linalool and linalool acetate, copaiba, which is beta-caryophyllene, spearmint, which is largely carvone, a little bit of limonene in there, and then magnolia, which is linalool. Those things help our bodies maintain during stressful times and sad times. Interestingly enough, the blend was pulled from different categories: wood, flower, mint, and citrus. This is a perfect balance of essential oils. If we were to choose the things to use to help us feel better, these are the ones. This calming blend helps us in life's most demanding moments. Now, adaptive can be your go-to for the soothing and uplifting aromas to get you throughout the day. It can help you with new surroundings or situations. It's useful when you have a big meeting coming up or presenting on a stage in front of almost 2,000 of your closest friends. These oils are so helpful for building resilience and accessing our inner strength to handle some of the messiness of life. Now, it's all about the chemistry, right? The chemistry of these, the lavender, the copaiba, the copaiba with the beta-caryophyllene, the wild orange, the limonene, and the spearmint. All of those help us in a significant way by increasing the parasympathetic activity of the brain. Adaptive capsules. Let's talk about adaptive capsules for a minute. You guys are going to get adaptive capsules in your market finally, right? Are you excited about this? I'm excited as well. Adaptive capsules have within them essential oils, the vegetarian omegas, which are amazing, right? And then your GABA and saffron extract. The adaptive oil blend in the capsule, though, is different than the adaptive oil blend in the bottle. I need to be very clear about this because some people get confused and they just think I can start taking the adaptive oil internally. You should not be doing that. Diffusion topical for those, internal for the adaptive supplement. Okay? So it's an amazing blend. Within that, it's 50% lavender. It also has wild orange in there, 20% wild orange, 20% coriander, and 10% sweet fennel is the blend within your adaptive capsules. So let's talk about the omega fatty acids you find in there. Now, in the US, we call this ahi flower. Here, we're going to call this Buglosoides arvensis seed oil. Buglosoides arvensis. Just rolls off the tongue, isn't it? So, let's talk for a minute about the type of fatty acid you find in this. This is stearidonic acid. Stearidonic acid is converted to EPA, okay, in the body. Now, most other plant sources of these are found in flax seeds, walnuts, broccoli, peas, Brussels sprouts, and that's ALA, or alpha-linoleic acid, which then has to be converted to SDA and then converted to EPA. The beauty of this Vuglosoides arvensis is that it is already SDA. So you have more conversion over it to EPA, which is the omega-3 fatty acid that helps us with our brain. So it's a vegetarian source and increases that within our body. So we love it because it's a vegetarian source. We don't have any concerns of supply, sustainability, or contamination from heavy metals. It's lovely. Okay, let's talk about GABA. GABA in there. It's an amino acid. It acts as a neurotransmitter. Remember what GABA does? Calms us down. So it's been shown to reduce anxiety, stress, and fear. And then saffron extract. I'm actually quite jealous because you guys get saffron extract and we don't in the US. Saffron extract provides value to the human body through its high level of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds such as crocin and safranol, which improves mood, cognitive function, and has the potential therapeutic benefits for depression. So once again, here's the adaptive mental wellness system. When we take the supplement, we're affecting neurological outcomes and biochemical outcomes. When we use the essential oil, we're enjoying the calming aroma that helps create a relaxing atmosphere. The supplement is long-lasting. The essential oils are fast-acting. It's the perfect combination of those things together. So use the adaptive capsules and its companion essential oil blend to help create a sense of balance and adaptive to every situation. So some suggested uses for the adaptive capsule. To help combat stress, tension, and anxious feelings, take 1 capsule a day. Take before a test or a stressful situation to help manage that stress appropriately. Maybe at 12 o'clock when your son's not home. Take 1 capsule daily to help support healthy cognitive function, or to promote a positive mood and mental well-being, take 1 capsule a day. Now finally, I want to turn to the most powerful product of all for dealing with depression and anxiety. This product has been found to not only help depression and anxiety, but many other mental health challenges. In study after study, we have found this to be more effective than any medication to treat these illnesses. Now, this side effect profile is extremely low and is tolerated by almost everyone. This product is you, a human being caring for someone. Often the question is asked, what can I do? I'm only one person. Well, let me finish with one last story. One day a man was sitting in the parking lot of the Golden Gate Bridge, contemplating joining the 1,700 others that have committed suicide by jumping from that bridge into the water below. He was in the middle of writing his suicide note to leave in the car, and was writing the words, "No one has ever shown me kindness. The world is a cruel place, full of hate." At that exact moment, someone knocked on his window with a cold soda bottle. He rolled it down and was greeted by a smiling stranger who said, "Hey, I have 2 sodas and I'm only going to drink 1. Would you like the other one? They're my favorite soda and I thought you might like one." The depressed man reached through the window and the soda was passed to him. He said, "Thank you," and the stranger smiled again and said, "I hope you have a fantastic day," and rode off on his bike. This sad man sat in his car and cried and cried. And when the well was empty, he crumbled up his note, drank his soda, and drove home to his family. Never again to return to that parking lot or that bridge. So again, you have tools like Adaptive to help the world around you. Dr. Steve Maraboli said, with one kind gesture, you can change a life. One person at a time, you can change the world. And one day at a time, we can change everything.